Welcome to the virtual Sunday service for the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Lake Norman. Our fellowship walks diverse paths to find meaning and purpose, but we are united by our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all, and the obligation to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion. We are an open and inclusive liberal faith community. All are welcome, regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation, ability, or economic status. My name is Nancy Embry, and I've been an active member of this congregation since 2015. Our chalice is lit to illuminate the world we seek. In the search for truth, may we be just, and in justice, may we be loving. I'm pleased to introduce our speaker, Melissa Mummert, who is the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Catawba Valley in Hickory, North Carolina. The church has a lovely webpage about Melissa, some of which I will share with you now. Melissa is deeply passionate about creating community that enlivens the mind, grows the heart, engages the body, feeds the soul, and transforms the world. As the proud parent of a non-binary teenager, she is committed to hosting a truly welcoming congregation for all LGBTQ people. For 20 years, Melissa has advocated for prisoners and people re-entering the community after incarceration, and she leads an organization that finds housing options for people with criminal records. Melissa is also a talented singer-songwriter, and her album, Ready, can be found on Amazon. You can learn more about Melissa and her work on the church's website. Melissa has given us 2 readings for today. The first is from Thich Nhat Hanh's work, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching. Resting is a precondition for healing. When animals in the forest get wounded, they find a place to lie down, and they rest completely for many days. They don't think about food or anything else. They just rest. And they get the healing they need. Even when we go to the beach or the mountains for a vacation, we don't rest, and we come back more tired than before. We have to learn how to rest. Stopping, calming, and resting are preconditions for healing. If we cannot stop, the course of our destruction will just continue. The world needs healing. Individuals, communities, and nations need healing. The next reading is a poem called For a Student Napping in a Poetry Workshop by David Wagner. I've watched his eyelids sag, spring open, vaguely and gradually go sliding shut again, fly up with a kind of drunken surprise, then wobble peacefully together to send him home from one school early. Soon his lashes flutter in REM sleep. I suppose he's dreaming what all of us kings and poets and peasants have dreamed, of not making the grade, of draining the inexhaustible horn cup of the cerebral cortex, where ganglions are ganging up on us with more corrections than atoms in heaven, but coming up once more empty. I see a clear stillness settle over his face, a calming of the surface of water when the wind dies. Somewhere down there, he's taking another course, whose resonance, let's hope, resembles the muttered thunder, the gutter bowling, the lightning of minor minions of Thor, the groans and gurgling of pharaoh lovers and pre-literate Mowglis, the songs of shamans whistled through bird bones. A worried neighbor gives him a nudge with the elbow, and he shudders awake, recollects himself, brings back his hands from Aboriginal outposts, takes in new light, reorganizes his shoes, stands up in them at the buzzer, barely recalls his books and notebooks, meets my eyes and wonders what to say and whether to say it, then keeps it to himself as today's lesson. And now, Melissa Mummert with her message entitled, The Spiritual Practice of Resting.
One of my favorite moments of the last months happened after we had ended church in Hickory, and I went downstairs to have lunch. Then I returned to the screen to attend an afternoon workshop on our same Zoom link. I was surprised to see one of our visitors from the service still signed on. He was sitting in his office chair, his head was back, and he was snoring loudly. I watched him for a few moments in his unaware slumber, taking a blessed Sunday nap. Good for him. Ah, the nap. About 20 minutes after I leave you today, if all goes well, I will be fast asleep. In my two-minister household, Sunday afternoon naps are a fixture. My Sunday afternoon naps are a delicious, under-the-covers sleep celebration. I easily give myself over to these Sunday siestas because by my calculation, I have earned it. Sermon delivered, check. Hard work done, check. I could report to any productivity police that I have won the right to close my eyes in the middle of the afternoon. On other days of the week, it's a different story. On a non-Sunday, I'll get really sleepy, and my internal hall monitor does like a comprehensive brain scan. Like, how hard have I worked? What do I still have left to do? Is everyone taken care of? Is the next meal made? What won't get done if I give in to my body's plea to allow me, pretty please, to rest? I have to admit that me preaching a sermon on the value of resting is a little bit like Representative Matt Gaetz giving a sermon on sexual ethics. This is one of the messages that I am still working on in my own life. I come by my struggle thanks to a long lineage of wonderful, really hardworking women. My grandma at 95, living in a nursing home, fretted daily about what she was not getting done. I need to organize my jewelry. I didn't send that thank you note. And in addition to my family influences, like most of you, I'm guessing I'm a product of this American culture that has indoctrinated us from the time we were young pups to produce and consume, to achieve and acquire. What are you doing? How much are you doing? Is it enough? Do you have enough? Are you enough? No, not quite yet. Not quite yet, the advertisers tell us. Not quite yet, the self-help gurus tell us. Not quite yet, our well-meaning parents and teachers tell us. And then we tell ourselves, unaware of how we've been co-opted by the lies. Our self-worth gets tangled in these values under our conscious radars. If we work a little harder, if we do a little more, then maybe we'll get there. A newish term for this mentality is grind culture. Grinding is about, as an article in the New York Times put it, performative workaholism that is obsessed with striving. Rise, grind, shine again, says a Nike ad. The problem is that grind culture doesn't take into account our bodies, our souls, our needs to stop, to pause, to integrate, to rest. Just consider all that's happened to us in the last 14 months or so. The whole world changed irreparably in a series of hours. Our norms vanished. People started getting a new deadly virus around us, dying. In a matter of days, parents were expected to shift our kids to a whole new style of learning. Essential workers were expected to show up and risk their health to an unknown and deadly disease. People who lived alone suddenly lost all physical contact. Those in assisted living facilities were locked down. We all had to learn a whole new way of being. And the message from our culture was, do not pause, keep pushing, keep going. Traumatized? Deal with it, keep going. Hit the wall emotionally or physically? Figure it out. A WeWork ad counsels, don't stop when you're tired. Hustle harder. Even in the hours when we don't think we're working, many of us are. In his 2013 book, 24/7 Late Capitalism and the Ends of Sleep, author Jonathan Crary says that our modern culture seeks to hijack our attention every waking moment. He says, so many of our leisure activities are actually hidden, passive ways of capitalizing on us. Scrolling through social media, your likes, comments, and even just views, reach are capital. Watching TV? Yep, capital. Creating content, be it a blog, a video, or just posting an image? That's full-on digital labor. Jewish theologian Abraham Joshua Heschel says that we must create a palace in time, away from the clamoring of clattering commerce. He says, gallantly, ceaselessly, quietly, humans must fight for inner liberty to remain independent of the enslavement of the material world. This is our constant problem, he says, how to live with people and remain free, how to live with things and remain independent. Now, enter into our story Trisha Hersey, a strong Black woman, a student enrolled in a demanding divinity program at Emory University. Percy was studying Black liberation theology, womanist theology, and cultural trauma. She became obsessed with the stories of her ancestors. She wanted to know viscerally what it was like to live on the plantations, and so she started immersing herself in slave narratives. In the midst of this intense and emotionally demanding research, Black Lives Matter protests were heating up, and Hersey got involved with them. On top of that, two beloved family members of hers passed away, and she was thrown thick into grieving. Then she got robbed. Her backpack was stolen that contained her first sermon and all of her research and class notes. It was all getting to be way too much. So, what did Trisha Hersey do? She napped a lot. When her body was tired, and it was so often tired. She simply heeded the call to rest. Percy put her head down and snoozed on library tables. She curled up and dozed on the campus pews. She slept under trees in the quad. She took a lot of flack from her classmates for her strange habit, but she kept napping. I was healing, she said. Naps really saved my life. In her awake hours, Hersey read firsthand accounts of enslaved people working 20 hours a day, women giving birth in the fields, and then being forced to finish picking their required daily quota of 500 pounds of cotton. Hersey realized that her ancestors were treated as human machines, their bodies commodified, their sleep was stolen from them. She started connecting the dots between her ancestors' experiences and the experiences of us in the 21st century. And she realized that this commodification of human bodies continues today in repackaged forms. She recognized that capitalism would have us believe that our bodies don't belong to us and that our bodies are tools for production. Percy decided to spread the gospel of napping. She called her work the Nap Ministry and herself the Nap Bishop. The main tenet, she says, is that rest is a form of resistance because it pushes back and disrupts white supremacy and capitalism. Both of these systems oppress, she says. Both of these systems hold the structure of our entire culture and refuse to recognize the divinity of human life. Napping, she says, is a way to push back against the narrative and reclaim the true power of resting for our own healing and community care. Percy conceived of resting as reparations. Her ancestors couldn't rest, so she says, I had to rest for them. Percy, a performance artist, created collective napping events. She laid out mats and pillows just like they do in preschool, and many exhausted strangers showed up, really eager to rest communally with other tired souls. Word got out about this SNAP ministry, and Hersey was invited to, of all places, Google to share her message with over 300 Google employees. When she shared her story, she was blown away by the response. Mostly white male programmers approached her after the presentation, sometimes with tears in their eyes, and shared how tired they were, how they too feel like their lives have also been commandeered by capitalism. White supremacy, of course, affects white people too. We're all caught up in this toxic system, playing different cogs in the wheel, but we're cogs nonetheless. Talking back to this capitalist mentality, Hersey proclaims, we are going to take back our bodies. We are going to disrupt and push back against the narrative that our bodies don't belong to us. I know you want us to work 20 hours a day, but we are going to lay down. In short, she says, you are enough. The systems you live under are trash. Now, hear me. Hersey is not saying, and I am not saying, only rest. Not at a time when legislators are trying to steal agency over women's bodies in trans people's bodies. Not while the earth is on fire, not while, despite a heartening recent verdict, racial inequality and police brutality are still rampant. Of course, each of us who love freedom and who love our planet are called now to be engaged meaningfully in the work of healing and justice. But Hersey's ministry recognizes what poet Audre Lorde knows to be true, that you cannot dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. So what if we were to bring rested bodies and minds to the work of transforming systems and creating beloved communities? I know what I'm like when I'm tired. I know I am way more likely to be unkind and irritable and whiny, and thus less effective in my relating to other human beings. When I'm tired, I'm way more likely to make unhealthy choices for me and for the planet, like picking up crappy food and throwing garbage from the crappy food away to litter the earth. When I'm tired, I'm way less motivated to write that letter to the editor, way less likely to believe that my small efforts can make a difference. In sitting with this subject over the last few weeks, I've wondered how congregations, our little UU spirit labs where we learn how to be better human beings, I wonder how our congregations can create communities that are vibrant and energetic, that are doing important and creative things, that are striving for justice, and that value rest. What if our congregations instituted community-wide Sabbath days, breaks from email and meetings? What if congregations created systems and supports that encourage our most active volunteers to take days and weeks and even months, maybe even years off from service so that they can simply be nourished and replenished by just being in community? How might those of you with discretionary time give support to those who might be hearing today's message and thinking, this all sounds good, but when could I possibly find time between holding down a job and paying bills and caregiving to rest? How might you create real support for those in your communities who are exhausted and stretched thin? As you consider reopening, it's a really good time to ask these questions. How much is too much? How can you nestle in the sweet spot of engaging everyone who wants to be engaged and being attentive to the risk of burnout? How can you encourage everyone to do a little so that no one feels the burden of too much? Those are some big questions, and I don't have the answers for you. Maybe we should sleep on it. Bon appetit, my friends. Bon appetit.
Melissa, we are truly grateful for your inspiring message, and may we learn to rest, to heal ourselves and the world. And now let us enjoy a musical interlude from Mike Alec.
Greetings, everybody. Another lovely spring day. Here's a song about slowing down. Everybody's moving too fast. Yeah, everybody's running, trying to get somewhere, but you're running me down. Hey, you better take care. Tidal wind blows, You're gonna look twice when it's running through the city. No, you won't believe your eyes, but the stars in the night, I think that they're flashing out of sight. Take the weight from my brow. Don't take the world from me now. Climbing up the ropes, flipping off the rails. You better hold on, man, you better be aware. You gotta have it all, you gotta have it now. But if you're filling up your cup, man, you better look up, 'cause the stars in the night, I think that they're flashing out of sight. Take the weight from my brow. Don't take the world from me now. Anybody see that old train running, coming through the night with one light showing, picking up pieces of broken down hearts? You better get in, man, you better look hard. I'm leaving in the morning, heading out of town. I'm headed for the hills, man, I'm going underground. I heard the wind coming, it rattled my gate. It's heading up the coast, man, I couldn't bear to wait. But the stars in the night, I think that they're flashing out of sight. Take the weight from my brow. Don't take the world from me now. Yeah, the stars in the night, I think that they're flashing out of sight. Take the weight from my brow. Don't take the world from me now. Slow down, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mike. Your music enriches our service and our lives. And for the latest announcements, members, please refer to your most recent newsletter. To our visitors, a hearty welcome. We're so pleased you joined our virtual service. If you like what you've heard so far and would like to stay connected or get involved with our congregation, please reach out to our membership chairman, Linda. Her email address can be seen at the bottom of the screen. We also have an active program for children and teens that has reached creative heights of invention during the past year. Parents, we encourage you to contact us about this program for your children and teens. And now, let us go forth and live our lives with integrity.